Hi, I'm John Feldt. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Water Outlook for May 5th, 2013. Well, we've sure had a pesky week with this area of low pressure. This has been an area of closed low pressure. It's not all that unusual to get these. We do get them from time to time, and many times, more times in winter than in spring. But when they do come in, they really bring their own weather, and that can be very showery and cool, and that's really what we've received over the Midwest over the last week, both record amounts of snow, record amounts of rain, cool temperatures, cloudy conditions, and pretty much from a soil moisture standpoint, really saturated upper soils over many different areas. Wanted to show you that the focused flow of moisture, we've had a number of these with this event, sort of recycling every 12 hours or so, and these are the three areas of flow. Here's one, here's two, here's three, and in the Midwest, at least from the heavy rain standpoint, this is the one that set up one of the first ones, sort of from a Memphis to St. Louis up towards the north type of flow. Behind that was snow, and you can sort of see here, this was in the colder air, and we had snow, and very close together. So very interesting week as far as rain and snow, both in Missouri, then further north, primarily snow. So this is the actual precipitation last week. Look at Iowa to start off with. Almost the whole state over an inch of rain. The areas in yellow are 3 inches of rain. And this is where that streak of moisture sort of fed into this area. And then about right here, look at these streaks right here. You see streaks coming this way, and these are your snow streaks right in here. And then this is your warmer air, and this is your moisture. And that moisture was being pulled up into the cold air, and that's why you had some very significant snow in that region. So speaking of snow, this was the snow over the last 7 days. The green is some of the more significant snow, over 4 inches, and the blue is over 6 inches and nearly a foot in a few isolated spots. But you can see from Colorado, parts of Nebraska, a very large part of Iowa, parts of Minnesota, and even parts of Missouri did receive a very late season snow or early spring snow in these areas as indicated. And you can see it a little bit as far as snow depth. This will melt very quickly. Lots of it already has, but you can see there still is a little bit of snow on the ground. The interesting thing is over the upper Midwest, the snowpack has pretty much gone now. There's a little pocket here, but the snow for spring snowmelt flooding for the Red River is now into the river. There's very little snow on the ground, but this is the new snow, and I suspect that will melt very quickly due to how late it is in the season. Stream flow has really picked up recently in the areas that have been wet. Just wanted to point out areas in blue are well above normal stream flow. Black are record, or not, I shouldn't say record high, but high stream flow, and in some cases above flood stage. So now a large part of Iowa, most of Minnesota, most of Wisconsin, most of Illinois, most of Missouri are experiencing high stream flow. Then as we get further to the west over the parts of North and South Dakota and Kansas and Nebraska, stream flow is lower, and that shows that very abrupt line I've been talking about between, generally speaking, too much rain now and then not enough rain. Quick summary of flooding. The main areas here are, this is the spring snowmelt flooding, moving north, actually Red River of the North, and then this is the widespread high stream flow, and generally red and purple are the more significant high flows, purple being major, red being moderate. Okay, well, the pesky low that's caused all of our sort of dismal weather this week is now over the southeast U.S. and causing a lot of problems in that area with record rainfall in the Atlanta area, daily rainfall, and it's going to drift up towards the northeast. So that's going to sort of be south of us. Now we do have the jet stream to our north, and that's sort of typical of this positive Arctic oscillation we've been in. You wouldn't think we've been in one with snow and cooler temperatures, but keep in mind that this closed low overrides the more general Arctic oscillation teleconnection. So I mentioned it many times in the things I put out, is as you go from the climate into the weather, into the mesoscale, the smaller scale you go into, that tends to override the bigger scale, and that's what we saw this week with this area of low pressure, which is a synoptic scale feature, sort of overrode some of the other features. But the jet stream is going to dip down south later this week, and a little bit of energy, not nearly as active as the past couple weeks, but that will give us another shot of precipitation over the Midwest, most likely in most areas in the form of rain, showers, and thunderstorms, as that moves further south later in the week. So here's the precipitation forecast for the week, and as you can see, it's nowhere close to what we've had over the last week, but still over parts of Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, primarily Illinois and Indiana, Ohio, definitely another shot of more significant rain. And depending on where you're at, parts of Nebraska, this is going to be a welcome rain. Kansas, pretty much welcome. As we get in Missouri, it's getting pretty soggy on east, and in these areas, that rainfall will further delay perhaps spring operations as far as agriculture due to soggy soils. So it'd be nice to get a little bit more substantial break in areas over the eastern parts of the Midwest. But again, I don't think this is going to be nearly as either widespread or heavy rain as we saw last week. Now the bigger trends, I wanted to look out a little bit further. This goes through May 21st, mid to the latter part of May. Just some idea of the general trends, and this is subject to change. It's a model that goes way out there, but you can see what areas are forecast to be drying off a bit, and it does look like the upper Midwest will be going back to maybe a little bit less active type pattern, but that area in the middle part of the nation that's wet, that still looks like that's prone to staying somewhat wet. And keep in mind that area is already fairly wet, so in the area, anywhere from eastern Kansas now, parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, that area there is getting pretty wet, and that could be more the area that does receive some enhanced rainfall over the next couple weeks. Soil moisture is very wet over the Midwest, as you might suspect. Very high levels, that's that dark green, over much of Iowa, much of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. And then it tapers off definitely further west, and you can see that very clear dividing line here with much drier soils to the west, much wetter soils to the east. That's why I said if we get some rain in this area, that'll be a welcome rain. On the other hand, if there's some rain in this area, that won't be quite as welcome because it's been so wet. As far as soil moisture changes go, browns indicate soil moisture is drying, and you can see over the upper Midwest that seems to be the case. And then areas in blue, soil moisture generally increasing. And depending where you're at, again, this is more of a welcome type event. And then as we get in these areas, maybe not so much so, but these areas of blues are somewhat scattered with the exception of Kentucky. So it does not appear to be quite as widespread, more of a scattered type event. So the takeaway points, not as busy as last week. Some showers and storms will be ending early. Then there should be a break for a middle part of the week, and maybe a chance of some showers and thunderstorms, more scattered, maybe not quite as heavy later this week, perhaps heading into the weekend, depending on what part of the Midwest that you're in. If you have any questions, as always, you can email me at john@bluewateroutlook.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I will be updating my briefing again next Sunday. Thank you.